Chapter 526. A suspicious man. Madame Xing kept calling Su Han a slut and even said that she was shameless. When did she not know shame? My words are harsh. I have even worse things to say. Which man in this residence doesn't favor you? My husband usually praises you, and my son also favors a slut like you. He doesn't even go to my room once. But you, that disappointing belly of yours, it's fine if you haven't given birth for a few years, but now you're even pregnant with a ghost fetus, throwing the face of our regional prince's mansion. Madame Xing spoke harshly to Su Han, venting all her dissatisfaction with her over the years. She didn't agree to take Su Han as her daughter-in-law. She despised the poor family and hated Su Han for being so beautiful and capable. She had managed the mansion well, but her mother-in-law couldn't find any fault. B0x. Calm. Su Han was scolded so badly. No matter how good-tempered she was and how much she cared about her relationship with Xiaotian, she had to defend herself. I'm not pregnant with a ghost fetus. Don't you know why there are bugs' eggs in my stomach and why one fell into the lotus pond? If it wasn't for Min Jia's intention, how could she? Enough. Su Han, one brought you back so that you can apologize to mother and persuade her to take the medicine. One didn't want you to make mother angry. Xiaotian scolded coldly. Su Han clutched her clothes tightly, feeling as if her heart had been stepped on by someone. However, recalling Xiaotian's past kindness towards her and the heartfelt words he spoke when he brought her back just now, she bit her lip with tears in her eyes. It's Heiner's fault. Please, mother. Don't blame me. Taking care of your health is more important. Seeing her humble demeanor, Madame Xing's anger dissipated by half. Outside the door, Su Yingxue was furious. If she could intervene in Su Han's family matters, she would have thrown Madame Xing into the lake and let her soak for a night. To resist this urge, she had to temporarily leave the place. Su Yingxue thought that Min Jia County Lord hadn't appeared today. She had some doubts about Min Jia County Lord, so she quietly went to her courtyard to investigate. If she didn't come, it would be fine, but the moment she arrived, she saw a man embracing her in the county lord's yard. Su Yingxue felt that the man's figure was somewhat familiar. She jumped onto the beam and silently approached him. Under the beautiful moonlight, Min Jia County Lord revealed the delicate demeanor of a young girl. She pounded the man's chest with her fist. I've been injured one after another, and you only come to see me now. Tell me, do you think I'm ugly because my face is injured, so you don't like me? Idiot, what are you thinking? The military affairs have been busy recently, and I've been working late into the night every day. When one heard that you were injured, my heart was about to break from anxiety. Come, let me see your face. The man held Min Jia's face as if it were a treasure. His eyes showed both genuine concern and a hidden disdain. Min Jia wasn't particularly good-looking. She wasn't as beautiful as Su Yingxue, nor as flamboyant as Han Yuan. She wasn't as delicate as Su Han, and she liked to wear bright colors, making her figure seem less slender. The man affectionately kissed the wound on Min Jia's face. It's a pity one have no power now. Otherwise, I would teach the person who hurt you a lesson and avenge you, he said softly. You. Don't mention that, Su Yingxue. Min Jia bit her lip. She was so angry that she felt like killing someone. I've never suffered such humiliation since I was young. Chapter 527. I feel good beating people up on the beam. Su Yingxue raised an eyebrow. She had never enjoyed beating someone up so much since she was young. A big thanks to Min Jia County Lord for this. As for the man she was caught having an affair with, he seemed familiar to her. However, this man was quite cunning, always lingering in the shadows. Su Yingxue was increasingly eager to get a clear look at him, so she took a step forward. Unexpectedly, the man had a keen sense of smell. Sensing a foreign presence, he immediately became vigilant. "Who's up there?" Yingxue swiftly flipped over and climbed onto the roof. After running briskly for a while, she jumped down again. B0X. Calm, she could sense that the man's martial arts surpassed hers, so confronting him head-on was not an option. But his side profile, why did it resemble Su Jinxian? Jinxian, lower your voice. We can't let father and brother find out. Min Jia quickly pulled Su Jinxian back. As an unmarried girl, being found with a man in the courtyard would lead to dire consequences. Su Jingxuan's gloomy face furrowed. His sense of smell was exceptionally sharp, and he detected a faint medicinal fragrance in the air. He suspected the person just now was Su Yingxue. He couldn't linger here. He had to leave immediately. Before leaving, he didn't forget to embrace Min Jia and reassure her. Don't worry, one won't let you down. I'll settle the score with Su Yingxue for bullying you. Just be cautious of her and Su Han. If we can't drive Su Han out of the mansion this time, and she regains control of the regional prince's mansion, our marriage will, no. I'll drive Su Han away. Min Jia's eyes showed determination. Once one become the head of the family, I'll make sure my brother supports you. When you have a position and power, come and propose again. My brother will agree. She had a shy look on her face, a complete contrast to her arrogant demeanor in front of Su Yingxue. Su Jinxian smiled and nodded. However, as he turned to leave, a ruthless expression crossed his face. Su Yingxue returned to Madame Xing's courtyard, expecting Madame Xing to have exhausted herself from the tantrum. But when she tried to enter again, the steward stopped her. Su Yingxue's gaze turned icy. Move aside. Although the steward was somewhat afraid of her, Min Jia County Lord was his true master. He had received instructions not to allow Su Yingxue inside, no matter what happened. Miss Su, this is a family matter of the regional prince's mansion. Please wait outside, the steward insisted. Your regional princess is also my cousin, and 1 a.m. her physician. I must accompany her. Su Yingxue felt something was off. She deliberately took a detour earlier to avoid raising suspicions. The steward, despite looking guilty, stood firm. Miss Su, please show some restraint. Even though you are related to regional princess, you are still an outsider. Don't meddle in our family affairs. What are you afraid of? Su Yingxue caught the guilt in his eyes. The steward blinked. What am I afraid of? It's you. Hey, Miss Su, you can't go in. Su Yingxue kicked open the courtyard door and rushed in. When the butler tried to stop her, she kicked him away. The steward ended up being kicked into the wall, and the 2 servants couldn't pull him out. Su Yingxue stepped into Madame Xing's room and found Su Han lying on the ground. Chapter 528, calling him by his name, Xiaotian. She was drenched, and there were palm prints on her face and blood at the corner of her mouth. The Min Jia County Lord was oblivious to Su Yingxue. She was fervently beating Su Han and even eagerly attempted to kick Su Han's stomach several times while shouting, 111 kick the ghost fetus in your stomach to death. Let's see how you embarrass the regional prince's mansion. Oh! Su Yingxue kicked away Min Jia County Lord and swiftly threw 3 silver needles, instantly pinning Min Jia to the wall. Madame Xing, who had been enthusiastically watching Su Han being beaten, was suddenly stunned. The old regional prince finally reacted. Already feeling uneasy, he now grew more anxious. It's over. B0X. Calm, no more peaceful days. Su Yingxue, why did you barge in again? Xiaotian fumed. If one didn't barge in, I'm afraid my sister would have been humiliated to death by all of you. Yingxue quickly pulled Su Han up. Sister, why didn't you call me? I did, but sister, Su Han, weakened to the point of being unable to speak, was drenched in sweat from the pain. Ah! Her stomach felt like it was being gnawed on by thousands of bugs. Sister, just now Yingxue patted her head. She had gone to spy on Minjia, but she didn't expect Su Han to be tortured like this. Supporting Su Han's arm on her shoulder, Yingxue moved to leave. Xiaotian stood in her way. Yingxue, my wife. Where do you want to take her? Get lost. Xiaotian, do you still treat her as your wife? Can't you see how she's been bullied? Are you still qualified to be her husband? Yingxue gritted her teeth in hatred. If Su Han's life wasn't at stake, she would have blown off Xiaotian's head. This heartless man. Yingxue, what nonsense are you talking about? My mother was about to drink the medicine. As long as Heartwarming endured it, one would immediately bring her to you for surgery. But you insisted on disrupting things at this moment. Xiaotian gritted his teeth in hatred. It was all Yingxue's fault for barging in. Madame Sheng had promised to take the medicine after Minjia vented her anger, but Yingxue hit Minjia instead. Now, Madame Sheng was even angrier. Son, look at your woman. She colluded with outsiders and bullied your sister. Madame Sheng shouted behind his back. Did you see that? If Su Han doesn't kneel in front of your sister and apologize tonight, one won't take the medicine. Just you wait. Yingxue, did you hear that? It's all your fault. Now, Heartwarming will suffer even more. Xiaotian's handsome face turned gloomy. Don't blame her, Su Han leaned against Yingxue. Her body and face were covered in wounds, but her eyes were clear. Xiaotian, if it weren't for Yingxue, I would never have known, he was so heartless. He could look at her coldly and let her suffer so much abuse and torture. This was the man she loved, the husband she relied on. Su Han's eyes were filled with tears of despair. She had never felt so sad and hopeless before. Su Han, did you call me by my name? Xiaotian also felt sorry for her, but he couldn't bear it anymore. Su Han had treated him like this in front of outsiders again. She had always addressed him as husband and treated him with respect. She would also address him as Your Highness. But now, she was calling his name, and he felt so unfamiliar to her. Seeing that Su Han was in unbearable pain, Yingxue lost her patience and shouted at Xiaotian, "Get out of the way. Can't you see that sister is in so much pain? If she doesn't undergo surgery, do you want her to die from the pain?" Chapter 529, Ziwei. He's always here certainly. Xiaotian noticed Su Han's intense pain, but he was unwilling to let Su Han leave like this. He gestured for the servants to surround the courtyard, saying, "Without my order, Su Han cannot leave the prince's mansion. She is my wife." Wife? Xiaotian, you're simply the biggest joke. Yingxue coldly roared, "Are you even worthy of being a husband? You've allowed my sister to suffer so much, teetering on the brink of life and death." Even though they still bore the titles of husband and wife, Xiaotian was no longer deserving of those words. B0x. Calm. All the injustices Su Han suffered today felt like icy blades, repeatedly thrust into her wounded heart. She was already mentally exhausted. She pleaded with Yingxue, "Sister, one beg you," she truly couldn't endure this pain any longer. Yingxue couldn't leave with Su Han. Behind her, Minjia was pulled down from the wall. She pointed at Yingxue and shouted, "Yingxue, you wretched woman. Tonight, I want both you and Su Han to kneel and apologize to me. Ha! Su Yingxue coldly chuckled, Min Jia County Lord, it's time you taste the consequences of your loose tongue. To make such audacious claims. Su Yingxue, without hesitation, shot a needle into Min Jia's mouth. Min Jia, thinking she could protect her tongue by covering her mouth, soon realized that Su Yingxue's needles were impossible to evade. Oh! Min Jia began wailing and howling behind Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue shouted, Ziwei. A dark figure descended from the sky, exuding a chilling and bloodthirsty aura. The purple tint at the end of his eyes carried a terrifying intent to kill. Su Yingxue commanded, except for Chu Xiaotian, whoever dares to block my way will be beheaded. Ziwei's appearance instilled fear in everyone due to his formidable martial skills. Even Chu Xiaotian felt a tinge of fear. He took a step back. Ziwei's voice was hoarse and indifferent, yes. He uttered only one word, and a cold light flashed from his scabbard. The blade whistled, cutting through the crowd. Su Yingxue brought Su Han back to the general manor. Su Han was barely hanging on. Upon seeing Su Han, Su Dingheng and Qin Wan were stunned. Su Dingheng clenched his fists tightly. Heiner. How could Heiner be like this? Qin Wan couldn't hold back her tears. My daughter. My daughter. How could they do this to you? Stop yelling. If we don't perform the surgery now, your daughter will be lost. Saint Juan, changed into different clothes, came over and informed Su Yingxue, everything is ready. Hurry and bring your cousin in. Su Yingxue nodded. Concerned about Chu Xiaotian making further moves, she instructed Su Dingheng, Uncle, I need at least 4 hours to operate on my sister. During this time, no one is allowed to enter the pharmacy, or else my sister will be in danger. Su Dingheng's eyes turned red, even if one have to risk my life, one won't let anyone bully my daughter again. Su Yingxue was somewhat relieved. She then instructed Yihan to lead the people from the Marquis manor to guard the medicine hut, ensuring that she could complete Su Han's surgery. Hey, your sister fainted from the pain. Saint Juan's tone was somewhat somber. She's now unconscious. How can she drink the anesthetic? If she doesn't take the medicine, won't she be in excruciating pain when she wakes up from the surgery later? Sister, wake up. Su Yingxue patted Su Han's cheek worriedly. Now that she had fainted, how was she going to perform the surgery? However, no matter how she called Su Han or even injected her with needles, she remained unconscious. Chapter 530. Su Han's life was hanging by a thread. Saint Juan saw Su Han's swollen belly, which had turned deep red, and his brows slightly furrowed. If we don't act now, it will be too late. Su Yingxue's forehead perspired slightly. Saint Juan, prepare a bowl of anesthetic. Once my sister wakes up, administer it immediately. We'll start the surgery right away. All right. Saint Juan nodded. It was the only solution. During the surgery, Su Han would surely wake up due to the pain. At that point, they would administer the anesthetic. When the medicine took effect, Su Han would feel the pain of her abdomen being cut open and the extraction of the bugs for at least 15 minutes. However, it was an unavoidable circumstance. B0X. Calm in Su Yingxue's medicinal hut, lights were placed at a distance to prevent wax from getting stained with ash. Around the operating table, she hung over a dozen luminous pearls. The luminous pearls radiated brilliance, complementing each other and illuminating the entire medicinal hut as if it were daylight. Su Yingxue meticulously opened Su Han's abdominal cavity. The situation inside her abdomen was not favorable. Su Yingxue carefully removed one bug, but these wild-grown parasites had slippery bodies with a thorn at the end. When Su Yingxue extracted one, the thorn hooked onto the flesh inside Su Han. Su Yingxue inwardly exclaimed in dismay. Sweat appeared on her forehead, and Saint Juan quickly wiped it with a handkerchief, softly advising, "Don't be afraid. Use scissors to cut it off, then clean the tail." Su Yingxue nodded. Under Saint Juan's guidance, she dealt with one bug. Just as she was about to continue with the operation, Su Han's body suddenly moved. "It hurts," her pale, translucent face expressed pain. "My stomach, it hurts." "Sister, don't move," Su Yingxue hastily cautioned. She halted the surgery and instructed Saint Juan to bring the anesthetic. "Sister, the surgery has already begun. One know you're in pain, but one must remove all the bugs from your stomach. Otherwise, your life will be in danger." Su Han, who had been pampered since childhood, couldn't endure such pain. Tears had already blurred her vision. "Yingxue, has my stomach been cut open?" Su Yingxue nodded solemnly. "Yes, sister. Don't worry. It'll save your life. Nothing will happen to you." Su Han believed her, but the pain was truly tormenting. Saint Juan handed the medicine to her mouth. "Quickly drink this anesthetic. When the medicine takes effect, the pain will subside. Endure it for now." To save her life, it was an inevitable circumstance. Su Han opened her mouth, but before she could drink the medicine, a commotion erupted outside. "Su Yingxue, without my permission, you are not allowed to perform surgery on Su Han. She is my woman. Even if she dies, I should decide." Su Han's heart trembled. Outside the door, Xiaotian had mobilized his troops and the mansion's soldiers, breaking into the Marquis manor. Su Dingheng hastily summoned the guards of the Marquis manor. He stood in front of the medicinal hut, pointing at Xiaotian. "Shut up. Considering you're your Highness, I won't argue with you. But Heartwarming is undergoing surgery inside, and her life is hanging by a thread. I won't allow you to go in and interrupt her. Father-in-law, one spared you because I gave you face, but now I'm taking Su Han away to make her kowtow and apologize to my mother." Xiaotian glared, his handsome face cold and emotionless. "What did my daughter do wrong? Why should she kowtow and apologize to your mother?" Qin Wan scolded with tears in her eyes. Chapter 531. If you don't drink anesthetic, it'll hurt. If she doesn't adhere to her womanly virtues and violates any family rules, I will reprimand her first. But my Heartwarming has always been dignified and proper since she was young. She married into the prince's mansion and managed household affairs without a single mistake. Why do you have to humiliate her like this? That's her fault. Initially, she was doing well as a regional princess, but when she fell ill, she called Su Yingxue over. Her sister caused chaos in the prince's mansion, beating up my mother and sister. As the elder sister, she failed to control her younger sister and comfort her mother-in-law. She even disobeyed my orders, left the mansion without permission, and violated the 7 rules. If she wasn't sick, I would have divorced her by now. Xiaotian's angry words resonated clearly with Su Han. Su Yingxue gripped the scalpel in her hand, wishing she could stab it into Xiaotian's neck. Even Saint Juan couldn't stand it anymore. What nonsense is this? If he doesn't seek treatment when he's sick, could it be that he has been bullied to death in the prince's mansion? Only then can he be considered filial, and he hasn't broken the 7 rules. B0x. Calm, isn't this just nonsense? Saint Juan thought. Su Han lay on the bed, feeling as if her heart had been ripped out of her chest. We have been married for 3 years, yet he looks at me in this way. Su Han's eyes were filled with tears. She looked at the medicine in Saint Juan's hand and said, "One don't have to take it." Not taking the medicine, How can that be? It hurts. Saint Juan usually liked to joke around, but he was unusually serious when facing patients. Even a seasoned general might not endure the pain of having their stomach cut open, let alone a delicate lady like you. It's best not to show off. Saint Juan brought the medicine to her mouth. Su Yingxue took off her gloves and wiped the tears from Su Han's eyes. Sister, the pain is unbearable. Drink the medicine. It will take effect in 15 minutes. You won't feel anything anymore. When you wake up, everything will be fine. Seeing the despair in Su Han's eyes, she felt increasingly sorry for her. At this moment, Xiaotian was still outside, arguing with Su Dingheng and his wife, saying that they hadn't taught their daughter well, and his mother, Madame Xing, had been wronged and was now weak. He insisted that Su Han stop the operation and apologize to Madame Xing first. I know it hurts. If sister is afraid that it'll move and affect your operation, use silver needles to seal the meridians in my hands and feet so that I can't move. Su Han lowered her eyes, and her long eyelashes cast a shadow on her face, making it hard to see her emotions. Sister, how did you know I could do this? Su Yingxue was a little curious. Su Han didn't know medicine, did she? When sister attacked Min Jia, I observed it. Sister's medical skills are superb. You can cut open my abdomen and remove the bugs. Naturally, you can do the same. Su Han's voice was low, and it was difficult for her to say a word. The pain in her stomach was unbearable for ordinary people. Su Yingxue took out the silver needles and emphasized again, Sister, if you don't take the anesthetic, the pain is unbearable, and you'll bleed non-stop. As Saint Juan had said, even a general who had been through so much might not be able to endure such pain. The pain was too cruel for Su Han. Do it, sister. I want to remember the pain of this operation. I want to remember that this pain is all thanks to the regional prince's mansion. Su Han closed her eyes. Even though her stomach was in severe pain, her knuckles were turning white. Chapter 532, You're so smart. Seeing her determination, Su Yingxue administered 2 needles to both of Su Han's legs to prevent her from moving and risking injury to her wounds. However, due to Su Han being a woman, she refrained from using excessive force. She planned to administer an anesthetic directly when Su Han started experiencing unbearable pain. She glanced at Saint Juan and subtly blinked her peach blossom eyes, signaling that she understood. Su Yingxue signaled to him to be ready to administer the medicine to Su Han whenever necessary. The two continued with the surgery on Su Han. Outside the door, the situation remained at a standstill. Xiaotian was infuriated. He called out to Su Han multiple times, but she showed no response. B0x. Calm, he turned to Su Dingheng and said, Father-in-law, if you insist on this, don't blame me for taking action against you. Qin Wan had never expected that Xiaotian, whom she had seen as a talented person, would be so rude. Your Highness, General Su is your father-in-law. Though his official position and family background may not match yours, how dare you behave like this? Madam, don't be afraid. Su Dingheng called Qin Wan's maid and instructed her, Xifan, assist Madam to the outside of the medicine hut. Ensure she isn't distressed. Yes, General Su. Xifan promptly helped Qin Wan out. Both Xifan and Yihan were maids in the Marquis manor, possessing a knowledge and demeanor distinct from ordinary servants. Xifan, concerned about the ongoing confrontation, urged, Sister Yihan, now that the general is confronting your Highness, can our Marquis manor withstand it? Yihan, with a hint of gravity in her expression, responded, although Miss has some supporters, it's uncertain if she can assist the general. To mobilize the Marquis manor private troops, we need the Marquis orders. With Su Dingheng having no active role and being confined by Su Yingxue, the responsibility fell upon Su Yingxue. For such a significant matter, Sister Yilan, you should consult Miss first. Yihan expressed her worry. Yilan nodded and asked her to protect Qin Wan. She stayed in the side hall of the courtyard next door and quietly went to the door of the medicine hut. Outside the door, Su Dingheng and Chu Xiaotian had already engaged in a physical confrontation. The situation was extremely tense. Yilan called out from outside the door, "Miss, one seek your guidance on whether we should inquire if the Marquis will send soldiers to assist General Su." Su Yingxue had just finished dealing with the third worm. The sweat on her forehead kept falling. Her eyes were focused on her surgery on Su Han. She instructed, "Go find my father and send the guards in the residence to the medicine hut. Ensure the medicine hut is guarded." Yilan responded, "Yes, I will go immediately." Saint Juan wiped Su Yingxue's sweat and questioned, "Why is mobilizing the soldiers so troublesome? Isn't your assassin Ziwei here? Let him out, and he can deal with Chu Xiaotian. Ziwei is protecting us on the roof." Su Yingxue could sense Ziwei's presence. Before entering the medicine hut, Ziwei had informed her that there were human auras around the hut and that he would staunchly protect her. At this moment, she, Su Han, and Saint Juan were under Ziwei's protection. He couldn't afford to be distracted. Saint Juan glanced upward but couldn't see where Ziwei was. However, he couldn't comprehend it. Why is Ziwei protecting us? Could there still be people daring to act against you in the Marquis manner? Su Yingxue, concentrating on her hands, calmly responded, "If my enemies take advantage of the chaos to attack, not only could they harm me, but they could also shift the blame for my cousin's life onto the Marquis manor. Both the Marquis manor and I would be in trouble." Damn. Saint Juan was slightly stunned. That's ruthless. Nevertheless, he admired Su Yingxue even more. "You can even sense this. Not bad. Your mind doesn't lose to your mother." Chapter 533, Su Dingheng protects his daughter. Saint Juan felt a sense of joy. If it weren't for the ongoing surgery, he wanted to poke Su Yingxue's little head and see how it worked. Su Yingxue performed the surgery calmly. Although she didn't voice it, she was well aware that Su Han's unwarranted injury and the man in Min Jiao's courtyard were not mere coincidences. Their target wasn't Su Han. It was her. Yilan went to invite Su Dingheng from his courtyard. Since the day Su Dingheng was pulled out of the ancestral hall by Su Yingxue, he seemed lost, wandering, occasionally calling Shulan and Ruer, then starting to call Shuli after a while. At this moment, Yilan thought she would need to use quite a bit of persuasion to get Su Dingheng to agree. B0x. Calm unexpectedly, before she could explain everything, Su Dingheng asked, "Yingxue, is she performing surgery on Heiner?" "This." "Yes." Yilan was taken aback. "Let's go, support me, mobilize the troops." Su Dingheng put on his shoes, got out of bed, and took out the commander's seal from under his pillow, holding it in his palm. Yilan was surprised. "Marquis, you agreed. What are you still standing there for? Hurry up and help me. If you're late, Yingxue's surgery will be interrupted, and she'll be in danger. Can a silly girl like you bear the responsibility?" Su Dingheng rolled his eyes at her. The anxiety and worry in his eyes didn't seem fake. Yilan was delighted and quickly helped Su Dingheng call the guards from the Marquis manor. Hundreds of guards rushed into the courtyard of the medicine hut. Su Dingheng had already been captured by Chu Xiaotian's men. Chu Xiaotian immediately wanted to kick the door open. Su Dingheng shouted, "Stop!" With silent support, he walked into the battlefield. "How can my Marquis of Martial South's manor allow people to act as they please? This medicine hut is my daughter's place. Outsiders are not allowed to enter." Chu Xiaotian turned around with a hint of surprise in his eyes. Marquis of Martial South. Why did he come out? Didn't his relationship with Su Yingxue break down, and he no longer had any real power? He had even brought the soldiers of the Marquis manor. Second brother. The injured Su Dingheng was also surprised. You. What are you guys doing? Help my brother up and call the doctor. And you guys. Su Dingheng pointed at the Marquis soldiers and ordered, "Today, I am here. Even if you have to risk your lives, you have to guard this medicine hut for me. All of you stand at the door for me. Guard the door for Miss." The well-trained prefecture soldiers immediately split into two teams. One team surrounded Chu Xiaotian and the others, while the other team stood guard in front of Su Yingxue's door and stood there solemnly. In the room, Saint Juan and Su Yingxue heard the commotion. Su Yingxue was slightly moved. Saint Juan smiled evilly and raised his eyebrows. "Tsk, I didn't expect that your father would protect you one day. Shut up and watch my sister. Otherwise, he'll let you suffer a knife as well." Su Yingxue glared at him. Saint Juan pouted. He thought that Su Han had fainted from the pain since she hadn't made a sound. However, when he looked down, Su Han's eyes were open. There was a trace of sadness in her beautiful eyes, but they were firm and resolute. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart, the women of Su's family are all amazing. There was no need to say much about Su Yingxue. Su Han, a delicate and gentle young lady, could endure such pain. The silver needles on her hands and feet had long lost their effect, but she still endured it and did not move. Su's family, oh no, the people from Marquis Manor were awesome. Outside the door, Chu Xiaotian's face was filled with hostility. Is Marquis of Martial South going against me? Chapter 534. The Silkpants Marquis Su Dingheng was not like his other brothers. He was the only one in the Marquis Manor who had never been on the battlefield and had no military merits. However, he relied on his wife's merits to inherit the title of nobility. Chu Xiaotian knew that he was a coward and did not respect him. Su Dingheng shivered but remained silent. On the other hand, Su Dingheng raised his sword. Chu Xiaotian, don't act recklessly. Your regional prince's mansion may be prestigious, but my Marquis manor is not to be trifled with. You'd better leave now. Tell me to leave. Does your daughter still want to return to the prince's mansion? Chu Xiaotian pointed his sword at Su Dingheng with a fierce expression. Your Highness, Chu Xiaotian, considered himself far superior to Su Dingheng, a mere General Weiwu. He wouldn't have allowed Su Dingheng to shout at him so loudly if it weren't for the sake of Su Han. Su Dingheng ended up with only minor injuries. B0x. Calm Su Dingheng's weakness was exploited, and he fumed with anger. You. He wished he could chop Chu Xiaotian into pieces, but he was his daughter's husband. His daughter's future still belonged to the regional prince's mansion. Master, refrain from further actions. Be careful not to harm yourself. Qin Wan quickly walked to his side, supporting him. Master, Heartwarming is still the regional princess of the prince's mansion. Please don't fight anymore. Su Dingheng sighed heavily, his eyes filled with unwillingness. Sigh. Seeing the couple compromise, Chu Xiaotian was about to rush in and seize Su Han. But Su Dingheng angrily shouted, "Stop right there." Although Su Dingheng's health was not good, with Xylan's support, he stood firm. His voice wasn't loud, yet it carried a distinctive aura. This is my Marquis manor. Inside the medicine hut are my daughter and niece. I don't care if you're a regional prince or how capable you are. As long as I'm standing here, don't even think about going in and disturbing my daughter's peace. Otherwise, even if you cut off my head, 111 still stare at you with my eyes wide open, you bastard. Su Dingheng stood in front of Chu Xiaotian, shouting at him. His appearance, both swaying and his words, didn't seem fitting for a marquis. Instead, he resembled a carefree young master who once roamed the streets. After pretending for many years, ever since marrying Long Shuli, he hadn't truly lived as himself. Yet now, he was shamelessly using his status. And Chu Xiaotian, this prince, couldn't do anything when he saw him like this. Su Dingheng even took out one of the guard's swords and pointed it at Chu Xiaotian, yelling, "Bastard, come at me. My father is the Defender General, my brother is General Weiwu, my wife is the princess, and my daughter. My daughter is also a peerless genius doctor. Shall be rich and famous in the future. Even a prince like you will have to kneel when you see her." Su Dingheng's current behavior was surprisingly unexpected. Su Dingwei suddenly felt a sense of familiarity. The few brothers had been striving since childhood, but Su Dingheng was the odd one out. He wasn't good at either literature or martial arts, yet he enjoyed mingling in the streets. Starting as a young master of the Marquis manor, he ended up as a playboy. However, this group of generals only knew how to fight head-on, while Su Dingheng was smooth. Chu Xiaotian was both surprised and disdainful. A noble marquis acting like a street scoundrel. What a joke. Even if I'm a joke, you still have to call me second uncle. Don't forget, you married my niece, my junior. What were you doing just now? Hitting my big brother. Hitting your father-in-law. I think your head has been cut off by a sword, leaving only half a paste. Now, take your men and get lost. Or, when my daughter comes out, you'll be beaten up like your mother. Chapter 535. Su Han has a child in her belly. Su Dingheng waved his sword, acting like a rogue, but strangely, this posture left Chu Xiaotian speechless. Being of royal descent, Chu Xiaotian would never throw a tantrum like Su Dingheng, behaving like a street scoundrel. Chu Xiaotian's face darkened as he pondered. With his limited entourage, he couldn't forcibly take Su Han from the Marquis manor. But leaving now was out of the question, he couldn't accept that. Su Yingxue had interfered with his wife without permission, and he couldn't let it slide. B0x. Calm and Su Han, she had defied him repeatedly. In the midst of his frustration, Min Jia barged in. "Brother, don't worry. If the Marquis manor tries to bully you, they have to see if seventh cousin agrees." Min Jia's face was swollen from Su Yingxue's beating, and she spoke with a buzzing voice due to the needle still in her mouth. However, she didn't let that hinder her from providing Chu Xiaotian with some devious ideas. Chu Xiaotian was both surprised and intrigued. The moonlight cast its gentle glow, and the night breeze was chilly. Chu Qingye, adorned in a moon-white python robe, strolled in under the moonlight. With a golden crown on his head, he was accompanied by 100 imperial guards, exuding a commanding presence. Upon his arrival, everyone kneeled in respect. "Greetings, Your Highness." "Greetings, Your Highness." Seventh brother. Chu Xiaotian nodded in acknowledgement, showing his respect to Chu Qingye. Chu Qingye extended a helping hand. "Brother, there's no need for formalities. Sister Min Jia came to inform me that you were trapped in the Marquis manor, so I've come to support you." The term support raised eyebrows. Inside the room, Saint Juan raised an eyebrow. Why is he here? Is he deliberately causing trouble? Su Yingxue hadn't finished dealing with everything yet. Saint Juan, look. Even though Su Yingxue had just removed all the bugs, her expression darkened as she examined Su Han's abdomen. Saint Juan looked down and was stunned. Damn, was this too unfortunate? Su Han sensed the somber atmosphere on the operating table and asked weakly, Sister, what's wrong? Cousin, the child in your stomach. Yingxue felt deep regret and couldn't bring herself to continue. Outside the medicine hut, Qingzhi approached the Su family. He glanced at Su Dingheng and his wife, saying, I understand that General Su and your wife are anxious about your daughter, but you have crossed the line. General Su, despite being my brother's father-in-law, you seem to have forgotten that my brother is a relative of the imperial family and holds a position in the 5 cities' artillery department. In terms of status and rank, he surpasses General Su. How dare you raise your hand against him? Su Dingheng felt extremely ashamed, but even with his hidden resentment, he had to bow his head and grit his teeth. I overstepped, Your Highness. As a military man, General Su deserves punishment. Qingzhi not only had status but also wielded real power in the Ministry of Justice. He gestured, issuing a command. Take General Weiwu, Su Dingheng, who has offended his superior and humiliated the regional prince, throw him into the imperial prison, and administer corporal punishment. Qin Wan was terrified. Your Highness, spare him, please. Corporal punishment involved stripping the prisoner naked and using an iron comb forged from steel bars to comb down the prisoner's body, akin to combing hair. The pain was excruciating, causing injuries ranging from scraped-off skin and profuse bleeding to damaged tendons and bones, resulting in disability. Su Dingheng wasn't afraid of the punishment, but he stood firm. I made a mistake. Your Highness can punish me however you want, but I must witness Heiner's surgery with my own eyes. She must be safe and sound. Otherwise, I will never leave this medicine hut. Chapter 536, Qingzhi's Viciousness. General Su, this is not up to you. Qingzhi made a move, and immediately, Imperial guards came forward to arrest Su Dingheng. If Su Dingheng thought of resisting, Qingzhi coldly reminded him, injuring the regional prince is a serious crime. If General Su dares to resist the Imperial guards, the consequences will be more severe than just corporal punishment. Master, Qin Wan's heart was aching, but she didn't dare to let Su Dingheng act again. Su Dingheng could only grit his teeth and give up. B0X. Calm Xiaotian sneered. Father-in-law should have known this would happen, so why bother taking action? Heiner is already married to me, and it's only right for me to bring her back to the prince's mansion. Even her parents have no right to stop it. Xiaotian, you. This is too much. Su Dingheng was caught by the Imperial guards. Seeing him curse, Qingzhi thought of a vicious move. Since General Su doesn't value my brother, I'll order an execution right here. He deliberately raised his voice when saying this, ensuring that those inside could hear him. Su Yingxue had just cleaned Su Han's abdomen, and she couldn't preserve the baby. She had to clean it thoroughly before properly suturing it. Otherwise, she would, sister, my father, Su Han's face showed no trace of color due to the pain she had endured for so long, and the pain of having her abdomen cut open hadn't made her flinch. But now, her father was held captive. If she continued lying here and her father was subjected to corporal punishment, what should she do? Cousin, don't move. Su Yingxue pressed down on her restless shoulders and administered the bowl of anesthetic prepared by Saint Wan. Sister, my father, after giving Su Han the medicine, Su Yingxue immediately sealed her acupuncture points, rendering her immobile. She gently touched Su Han's forehead. Sister, rest assured and sleep well. I will save you. As for Su Dingheng, if Qingzhi dared to harm him in the slightest, she would make Qingzhi pay the same price. Saint Wan assisted Su Yingxue in stitching up the wound, and he raised his eyebrows in surprise. One admire you. The fire has reached your doorstep, yet you remain so calm. Her needlework was extremely precise and unaffected by her emotions. However, it was evident that the situation outside was dire. Su Yingxue's gaze turned cold. "Shut up. Thread." Saint Wan quickly assisted her. Outside the door, Su Dingheng had been stripped naked. Qingzhi intended to break into the medicine hut with Xiaotian and take Su Han away. Su Dingheng held his sword and blocked the door. "Stop. Today, even if the God of Heaven comes, don't think about entering. Otherwise, kill me first." He had never done anything for Su Yingxue. This time, he hoped to be like his elder brother and contribute to protecting his daughter. Xiaotian frowned. Su Dingheng is the Marquis. Although his official position is not high, he is still Su Yingxue's father. "Cousin, I'm afraid it's not easy to touch him." Xiaotian had some reservations just now, which was why he didn't dare to make a move. Although the Imperial Guards brought by Qingzhi could completely suppress the soldiers in Marquis manner, Su Dingheng acted shamelessly and forcefully stopped them. They couldn't directly attack Su Dingheng. Otherwise, no matter where this matter went, it wouldn't be justified. After all, they were the ones who barged into the Marquis manor this time. The corners of Qingzhi's mouth curled into a cold arc. He walked in front of Su Dingheng but did not attack him. He only said softly, "Marquis, Su Yingxue is your daughter. Is Ruer not? Have you forgotten who exposed Ruer's corpse in the wilderness?" One wanted to find a complete corpse for Ruer to bury, but Ruer was eaten by wild beasts and her face was unrecognizable. Not even her bones were left. Chapter 537, Kill Her and Avenge Mother. Su Dingheng's face turned a dismal white, and the sword in his hand clattered to the ground with a loud sound. "Ruer, my daughter, how could it be so tragic? Not even a bone left." Qingzhi raised his eyebrows triumphantly, taking advantage of the moment to command, "Quickly assist the Marquis in resting. Otherwise, if the Marquis encounters problems, can you bear the responsibility?" Su Dingheng's mind was in turmoil, and the debonair demeanor from moments ago was instantly shattered. B0X. Calm. Qingzhi looked at the empty door, the light inside shining as bright as day as if representing nobility and justice. However, he was determined to shatter this nobility and trample upon this justice. "Su Yingxue, you owe me, and you will repay it all." Qingzhi, with Xiaotian, was about to enter when a petite figure blocked their way. Yihan used her body to obstruct the door. "Miss has ordered that unless she comes out, no one can barge in. Even if one have to risk my life, I won't let you in." "Who are you? How dare you stop my cousin?" Min Jia stormed out angrily and slapped Yihan. "Get lost." Yihan spat out blood from the blow but got up, still blocking the door. "You can't go in. You can't go in." Min Jia clenched her teeth in anger. Su Yingxue, that wretched woman's maid, is also this audacious. "Brother, kill her and avenge mother." Min Jia snorted disdainfully. She wanted to see how unafraid this maid was of death. "Even if you kill me, I will guard the door for Miss." Yihan opened her arms, forcefully preventing them from entering. Xiaotian refrained from making a move. "Killing a maidservant dirties my blade." Although he was not a martial hero, he knew that a martial artist's weapon shouldn't be used against a defenseless woman, especially a servant. Qingzhi handed his sword to Min Jia and raised his eyebrows. "Since Su Yingxue has offended my cousin, I'll handle it myself and seek retribution." Min Jia's heart skipped a beat. "Let me do it." Despite her arrogant demeanor, she had never even killed a chicken at home. Now, she was being asked to take a life. "Are you afraid, cousin? With me here, no one will dare touch a hair on your head." Qingzhi smiled smugly. Min Jia's eyes gleamed with excitement. Although she had never killed anyone before, Qingzhi made it sound so easy. Killing a maidservant was nothing. She took Qingzhi's sword and sneered. Yingxue, daring to humiliate me. I'll kill your maid first and then settle the score with you. Yingxue still had a few stitches left. Saint Juan saw her hand tremble, and the needle failed to go down. Yihan, cousin, Yingxue had time to put the needle down, but doing so would expose Su Han's wound, and behind her was Xilan's life. Damn it! I'll go out and confront them. Saint Juan angrily discarded his gloves, and rolled up his sleeves, ready to charge outside. But before he could reach the door, a woman's scream echoed. Ah! Saint Juan's heart skipped a beat. Oh my God, that little girl can't be dead, right? Yingxue was also agitated, but her eyes widened instantly. Isn't that Xilan's voice? What? Who is that? Don't worry about it, Saint Juan. Come back and focus on suturing. Sister's health is more important. Yingxue shouted sternly. Saint Juan quickly returned, cleaned his hands, and removed his gloves again. He cooperated with Yingxue to complete the last few stitches. Chapter 538. Yihan was just that ruthless outside the door. Xilan's heart was pounding in her throat. She had even pictured herself covered in blood, but the pain hadn't reached her. She cautiously opened her eyes. Beneath the dazzling torchlight, a woman's body lay on the ground in an odd posture. Minjia. Xiaotian was the first to react, rushing over to Minjia. However, when he helped her up, Minjia started to wail, "It hurts. Brother, it hurts so much. Ah, it hurts. B0XO. Calm. She didn't know where the force came from, but it sent her flying. She fell face first to the ground, and every bone in her body hurt as if it had been dismantled. It was a piercing pain. The strong wind that swept past Qingzhi made him look warily at the door of the medicine hut. Imperial uncle. Qingzhi's heart skipped a beat. He hadn't sensed Yihan's arrival at all. How powerful was his martial arts? He could suddenly appear in front of everyone and strike Minjia. Yihan's arrival caused the surrounding atmosphere to suddenly drop. His domineering aura made everyone involuntarily lower their heads. His cold gaze shifted to Qingzhi, and he asked coldly, "Who gave you the courage to intrude into the Marquis manor?" Qingzhi was unconvinced. He was a prince and now the temporary minister of justice. He was noble, yet Yihan accused him of trespassing into Marquis manor. However, on the surface, he had no choice but to lower his head to Yihan. "Imperial uncle, please forgive me. One heard from Sister Minjia that the regional princess had been kidnapped by Yingxue, and my brother was also in trouble here. That's why I rushed over. After all, a member of the imperial family cannot be bullied in the Marquis manor." "No. That's right. It's fine if Imperial Uncle doesn't support us, but why do you want to attack me?" Minjia was supported by Xiaotian and could only sit on the ground. Her legs were in so much pain that she had no strength at all. She didn't even know how many bones she had broken. But she hated him so much. Why did Yihan hit her? Yihan looked at Minjia in disdain. "Are you worthy of being a member of the imperial family? From which imperial consort were you born? You are just a commoner's daughter. Imperial uncle, be careful with your words. My sister and one are of the same mother. Her status is noble. Of course, she is a member of the imperial family." Xiaotian couldn't stand Yihan's humiliation and stood up for Minjia. Mo-chi reminded him, "Don't you know? Madame Xing has been stripped of her imperial mandate and demoted to a commoner." Xiaotian's face turned pale. He didn't expect Yihan to be so ruthless. He demoted his mother. He even hurt his sister. Qingzhi, this place doesn't allow you to make any noise. Take your imperial guards and get out of my courtyard. Yihan knew very well that Su Yingxue's surgery was not completed yet and she needed some peace. Qingzhi was unwilling. Su Yingxue's figure was still clearly visible through the window, but he couldn't see her again. He gritted his teeth and refused. Imperial uncle, Su Yingxue is not the only one in this medicine hut. There is also cousin's wife, the regional princess. Imperial uncle should stand up for cousin and make Su Yingxue hand over regional princess. Even if Yihan chased him away, he couldn't be chased away so easily. However, he had forgotten that Yihan would never reason with him. There was a trace of hostility in his dark eyes. Do you want to get lost yourself, or do you want me to do it? Imperial uncle, please calm down. Xiaotian quickly stepped forward and grabbed Qingzhi's arm. Seventh brother, go out first. It's not a good time to disobey Imperial uncle. In terms of martial arts and power, a few of them were no match for Yihan. It was better to recognize the situation. Chapter 539. It was her honor to hit her. Qingzhi's heart was unwilling. It was just this last step, and he almost made Su Yingxue beg. Yihan was detestable. Everyone was driven out of the courtyard. The medicine hut suddenly became quiet, not a sound to be heard. Yihan saw that Yihan stayed behind and cautiously went to arrange things outside the courtyard. Although they had intruded to cause trouble, they were still descendants of the imperial family. Yihan had them all invited to the front hall and ordered tea to be served, treating them well. B0XO. Calm Yihan stood guard outside the medicine hut and sensed a trace of a stranger's presence. He called Mo-Chi, someone nearby, go check. Mo-Chi immediately summoned the secret guards. Ziwei witnessed Yihan's secret guards in action, chasing after the person who had been lurking all this time, heading towards the east of the city. Inside the house, Su Yingxue finished the surgery on Su-Han. She breathed a long sigh of relief, covered Su-Han with her clothes, and took off her mask. Saint Juan wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. This surgery was really difficult. There were hundreds of people outside, and they almost overturned your medicine hut. If Yihan hadn't arrived in time, Su-Han would still be in danger. Thankfully, Su Yingxue was amazing. Saint Juan said he would take care of Su-Han for Su Yingxue and advised her to quickly deal with matters outside. There was probably a lot of trouble waiting for her outside the courtyard. Su Yingxue smiled and said, "Old man, thank you. Bah. I'm a young man." Saint Juan pushed Su-Han aside, rolling his eyes at her. Su Yingxue changed her clothes and went out. Under the moonlight, the man in the black robe made her heart throb slightly. Yihan was as perfect as a statue, no matter where or when, no matter what angle one looked at him from. His slender figure was perfect, and his facial features were flawless under the moonlight. Every inch and every minute was carefully crafted by the heavens. He walked towards Su Yingxue and held her fair hands. He instantly frowned. "It's so cold." Su Yingxue was still mesmerized by his fairy-like face. When she came back to her senses, she smiled and asked, "The hands used for surgery, how could they be warm?" Yihan immediately covered her hands and pressed them against his chest. Su Yingxue could feel the surging heat in his chest just by touching them. His heart was burning with an unknown temperature. Su Yingxue stayed in the room for 4 hours. She had heard half of what happened outside. At this moment, the medicine hut was empty. She asked, "Did you chase them all out?" "Yes." Yihan nodded. If it weren't for the fact that you still want to settle accounts with them one by one would have chased them all out of the Marquis manor. Those who disturbed her peace deserve to die. Yingxue felt a strong warmth in her hands and left with Yihan. Yihan was the servant girl she had raised, so she had already thoughtfully arranged for everyone. Yihan was guarding the manor. Even if these people didn't want to wait, they had to wait obediently in the front hall. Seeing Yingxue come out, Xiaotian couldn't wait to ask, Yingxue, where is Yihan? Where was she? One want to bring her back to the residence. Yingxue glanced at her coldly, and her gaze landed on Yihan. She gently caressed Xilan's face. Who hit you? There were obvious fingerprints on her delicate little face. Yihan looked at Minjia, who was sitting on the soft couch. Yingxue's gaze followed her, carrying a dark and vicious aura. Minjia was so frightened that she trembled. What are you trying to do? She's just a maid. It's her honor to be hid by me, the county lord. Chapter 540, Accountability. Yingxue walked up to Minjia and without saying a word, she slapped her. Being slapped by me is also your honor. Minjia was stunned by the slap. Over the past few days, Yingxue had slapped her twice, both times holding her hand and hitting herself. This time, Yingxue personally struck her, and the force, it hurts. Sob, brother. Minjia could not retaliate against Yingxue, so she could only grab Chu Xiaotian's arm and cry. Chu Xiaotian's heart was already filled with anger, and now he was even more furious. Yingxue, you've gone too far. B0XO. Calm, he couldn't help but express his anger towards Yingxue. Chu Yihan's cold voice came, so what if she's gone too far? Imperial uncle, Chu Xiaotian's anger was instantly blocked by him. Chu Yihan was backing Yingxue, making her fearless. But there was nothing he could do. Yingxue, do you think you can do whatever you want just because your imperial uncle is backing you up? Elder brother's wife, the regional prince's mansion, you must hand her over. Chu Qingye knew he couldn't confront Chu Yihan directly. However, Chu Xiaotian was in the right. He didn't believe Chu Yihan could force Suhan to stay. Cousin just finished her surgery and is still resting. I won't hand her over. Besides, seventh prince, what right do you have to say that to me? Yingxue's slanted eyebrows were cold and filled with hostility. I am in charge of the Ministry of Justice. You trespassed into the regional prince's mansion and kidnapped princess. One will hold you accountable for every single thing. Chu Qingye gritted his teeth. What he hated the most was Yingxue being arrogant in front of him. How could she? This woman, who used to be submissive to him, was getting more and more powerful. She was almost trampling him under her feet. Heartwarming was not kidnapped. Your Highness wants to hold her accountable, and I am willing to bear the responsibility. Heartwarming is seriously ill. If she is still in the regional prince's mansion, she will die. It was me who asked Yingxue to bring Heartwarming back. Dingheng immediately stood up to clarify for Yingxue. He hadn't been executed yet, but he had been standing naked on this cold night for a long time. His sturdy body was covered with scars from swords, spears, and halberds. They were all scars he had received on the battlefield and during training as a general. Nonsense. Don't tell me that my regional prince's mansion doesn't have a doctor. Do you believe that Yingxue is the only doctor in the whole of Jiangdu City? Chu Xiaotian shouted angrily. He had never said that he would leave Suhan in the lurch. He just wanted Suhan to comfort his mother. When his mother recovered, he would also cure Suhan. However, the Su family was hateful. If the regional prince's mansion is willing to treat Heartwarming, why is Heartner trapped in the mansion and let the bugs corrode her to such a serious extent? When Yingxue brought Heartner back, she was covered in wounds. How are you going to explain this to me? Qinwan couldn't care less and complained with tears in her eyes. She couldn't let her daughter be wronged and let others accuse Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue took out a pill and a set of clothes and asked someone to pass them to Su Dingheng. Su Dingheng took the medicine to stop the bleeding, but he didn't dare to put on his clothes. He stood firm. If the seventh prince wants to punish me, I will not resist. But today, I will not allow Heartner to be taken away. He would rather be tortured by Chengye. Yihan moved his fingers. Mochi, let General Su get dressed. Mochi replied, yes. General Su put it on. Mochi walked to Su Dingheng with the clothes and said softly. Chapter 541. Yihan was heartless to everyone. This, Su Dingheng was very surprised. He knew that Yihan allowed him to wear clothes because he wanted to save him. However, he had never interacted with Yihan before, so he felt a little heavy after receiving his favor. General Su, are you trying to disobey your Highness' orders by not wearing it? Mochi asked. I dare not. Su Dingheng immediately put on his clothes. B0XO. Calm compared to Qingzhi, who had no choice but to submit to him, he was more in awe of Yihan. The person they respected the most was Yihan, the god of war of the great Qing dynasty. Even if he wasn't your Highness, they would still obey him. Humph. Qingzhi snorted and said unhappily, General Su, you're very obedient. If you won't listen to me, do you think you can listen to him? Every word spoken by Yihan was accompanied by authority and coercion. He coldly commanded Qingzhi, kneel. Qingzhi's eyes widened. Why should one kneel? Even if Imperial Uncle wants to punish me, there must be a crime. Defying me is a crime. Yihan's icy and menacing gaze pressed onto Qingzhi. Or do you believe that just because I'm not in charge of the Ministry of Justice, one can't punish you? I won't kneel. Qingzhi was defiant. Imperial Uncle is favoring one side. If I'm to administer corporal punishment to Su Dingheng, Imperial Uncle insists on me kneeling. There's no logic in this. A sinister smile curled on Yihan's lips. Mochi, teach him some reasoning. Yes, Your Highness. Mochi unsheathed his sword and charged towards Qingzhi. Each move was chilling, and Qingzhi was forced into a confrontation with him in the courtyard. Xiaotian's heart sank as he witnessed Qingzhi being pushed out and beaten by Yihan. He contemplated that with Yihan present, it might be challenging to take Su-han away. He cast a glance at the injured Minjia and addressed Yihan in a solemn tone, Imperial Uncle, Minjia's injuries are not light. One will take her back to the residence for healing. As for my princess consort, Xiaotian approached Su Yingxue, a hint of disgust in his eyes. I will personally come to bring her back to the residence. Wait. Su Yingxue halted him. Your Highness intruded into my Marquis manor and injured my uncle. Do you think you can just leave like this? Su Yingxue, what do you want? Minjia, lifted by someone, was so furious that she wanted to bite someone. Minjia, County Lord dares to interrupt me. With your swollen face, are you still able to speak? Su Yingxue glared at her. Minjia was so frightened that her heart trembled, nearly crying. She dared not speak to Su Yingxue again, tightly covering her face, afraid of being beaten again. Impatience filled Chu Xiaotian's eyes. Su Yingxue, what else do you want? Your Highness needs to apologize to me and my uncle for trespassing into the Marquis manor and injuring my uncle. Su Yingxue fixed her gaze on Xiaotian. Regardless of his identity, Yingxue was unafraid of others' reservations. You. If I don't. What do you want to do? It was indeed Xiaotian's fault for trespassing into the Marquis manor. Under other circumstances, he might have apologized. However, Yingxue's actions today had repeatedly trampled on his heart. He would never apologize to her. And Dingheng. Their Su family was not worthy of him bowing his head. If you don't apologize, Yingxue, guarantee that you, the prince of the Yangon County, will not be able to leave my Marquis of Marshall South's manor. Yingxue, though not as tall as Xiaotian, exuded an aura much stronger than his. Even taller behind her was Yihan. Yihan's gaze was cold and emotionless towards anyone. Only when he looked at Yingxue did his gaze become as gentle as water. Chapter 542, Pinch Her Face. Cute. This also determined the fact that whoever had a conflict with Yingxue would be considered a dead person in Yihan's eyes. Xiaotian glanced outside at Qingzhi, who was brought to his knees by Mochi. He closed his eyes and trembled for a moment, then, facing Yingxue, he said with a solemn expression, "One apologize. I was impulsive, intruding into the Marquis manor, disturbing everyone in the Marquis manor." Yingxue barely acknowledged it. Xiaotian also approached Dingheng, offering an apology. Dingheng was extremely reluctant to accept it. However, he didn't say much in the end. B0XO. Calm before leaving, Xiaotian even addressed Dingheng and Qinwan, Heiner and One are husband and wife. When I have the time, I will come back to bring her with me. Han couldn't stay in the Marquis of Marshall South's manor forever. Dingheng's heart was clouded, and Qinwan was even sobbing. "Uncle, Aunt, it's already late. If you don't mind, you can go back to your manor. If it's not inconvenient, stay in the Marquis manor for a few more days. Sister just finished her operation and shouldn't move. I'll have Yihan take you to rest." Dingheng nodded, expressing gratitude for the trouble. Before leaving, he also bowed to Yihan in thanks, but Yihan just nodded without saying anything. While helping Dingheng to rest, Qinwan couldn't help but sigh. Ninth Prince is so cold, yet he cares deeply for Yingxue. He's much happier than Heiner. The thought of her daughter, who had become a regional princess but ended up in such a state, tore at Qinwan's heart. In the courtyard, Mochi had already forced Qingzhi to kneel. Everyone had left. Yingxue watched Qingzhi kneeling in the courtyard. He was still struggling. "Let me go. You servant. Release me." The seventh prince keeps calling him a servant, but you can't even defeat Mochi. What right do you have to call him a servant? Yingxue sneered. Mochi, throw out those who look down on you. Mochi raised his head. "I will do as you say." After Mochi carried Qingzhi out, Yingxue finally realized something. She scratched her ears. "Did I overstep my boundaries by ordering your Highness subordinates?" Yihan's confidence, ability, and status were not something many generals in the court could compare to. Mochi's obedience to her made her feel a little, he didn't cross the line. If he doesn't listen to your orders, then he would be crossing the line. Yihan pinched Yingxue's cheeks, finding her even cuter. Just now, she was so fierce in front of everyone, making people afraid. Now that the two of them were alone, her clear and beautiful eyes were especially weak. Yihan hugged her waist and pressed his forehead against her head. Old General Su is 100 miles away from Jiangdu City. He'll arrive in 2 days at most. Grandpa came back so quickly. But, Your Highness, you know so much. Could it be that there are secret guards following Grandpa every day and reporting his schedule to you? Su Yingxue pouted and asked. Chu Yihan's secret guards were elites who could fight against 100 people alone. Wasn't this a little overkill? Chu Yihan couldn't help but rub his lips against her face. If it weren't for the old general's old age, one would have asked him to return immediately. It wouldn't have taken so long. If Su Qingzhi had been younger, Chu Yihan would have given him a military order to hurry back. However, the old general was old and walked slowly. It was not good for him to rush him. He could only wait patiently. However, the longer he waited, the more anxious he became. Chapter 543. Su Han's child is gone. Su Yingxue felt a pair of large hands on her waist, radiating a burning warmth as they caressed the softest part of her waist. Chu Yihan's lips descended onto hers. Oh, the passionate kiss was both expected and somewhat unbearable. Your Highness, be gentle. Chu Yihan pressed his lips against hers as if wanting to claim every inch of her. B0XO. Calm when she felt a slight chill on her shoulder, she realized her shirt had been unbuttoned at some point, exposing her smooth skin to the air. She shivered, and Chu Yihan promptly adjusted her clothing. The night quickly melted away, but the air carried a lingering scent of ambiguity. In Su Yingxue's dreams, Chu Yihan's husky and seductive voice echoed. He said, Su Yingxue, I'm waiting for the day you become my princess. On that night, one will not let you off easily. Upon waking up, Su Yingxue found goosebumps all over her body. She couldn't shake the feeling that Chu Yihan was somewhat intimidating last night. What did he have in mind for the night she became the princess? Did it mean spending the entire night in the bridal chamber? I can't handle this. Su Yingxue hurriedly shook her head, well aware that she probably didn't have the stamina for such activities. Miss hasn't had breakfast yet. Why can't you handle it? Are you feeling unwell? Yihan asked while carrying a basin of water to help Su Yingxue freshen up. Su Yingxue quickly dismissed the vivid scenes from her mind. I'm not feeling unwell. Have you visited my cousin? Miss Han has already woken up, but she's been crying. Mr. Wan forbids Madam from seeing Miss Han again to prevent her tears from reopening the wound, Yihan truthfully reported. Su Yingxue nodded in agreement. Saint Wan made the right decision. Su Han's emotional state was too fragile, and touching her wound wouldn't aid in her recovery. After getting ready, Su Yingxue first comforted Qin Wan before heading to the medicine hut to check on Su Han. The well-arranged and quiet medicine hut was conducive to Su Han's recovery. Su Yingxue had brought some spiritual spring water from the Medicine King Valley for Su Han to drink, hoping it would expedite her healing. However, Su Yingxue couldn't help but be concerned about Su Han's wound. Su Yingxue explained, Cousin, even though one don't perform many surgeries, I am meticulous. I cut into your abdomen, and no matter what, it will leave a scar. Sister, I'm not blaming you. Scars are inevitable. We can repair it in the future. What concerns me is my child. Tears welled up in Su Han's red and swollen eyes once more. Su Yingxue's heart sank. It seemed she couldn't keep the truth from Su Han. Even with the anesthetic given by Saint Wan, Su Han still felt the moment the baby was taken out of her body. Su Han sobbed. When the doctor first told me I was pregnant, I didn't feel anything. I didn't even know how to be a mother. But later, one felt something in my stomach, and I started to be vigilant. After I fell into the water, you all said it was a bug, and I became even more afraid. But when it left my body, one realized. I didn't even get the chance to look at it before losing it completely. Su Yingxue was also deeply saddened. She couldn't bear to tell Su Han that the fetus was in a terrible state and that this operation would make it difficult for Su Han to conceive again. Sister, can one still have another child in the future? Chapter 544. Not every Su sister could be like Su Yingxue. Su Han grasped Su Yingxue's hand, catching Su Yingxue off guard. She hadn't even thought about how to fabricate an excuse yet. There will be a child, sister. Sister, you are decisive, not someone who hesitates. Su Han sighed heavily. Su Yingxue's hesitation confirmed her suspicions that Su Han wouldn't have another child. Su Yingxue sighed softly. Cousin, sometimes you don't have to be so wise. Su Han, who managed to marry into wealth due to her intelligence and perceptiveness, now seemed to suffer from the backlash of her intelligence and perceptiveness. Updated on B0xN0VL. Calm, I've been like this since I was young, now, and in the future. Su Han smiled bitterly. Cousin, have you thought about what to do in the future? Su Yingxue was very surprised. Su Han had only rested for one night after the surgery. Su Han leaned against the headboard and said calmly, this time, I got into big trouble to save my life. My mother-in-law is injured, and Min Jia will probably hate me to the bone. I'm afraid that my life won't be as good as before when I return to the prince's mansion. Sister, are you going back? Su Yingxue subconsciously wanted to object. Su Han smiled bitterly. What can I do if I don't go back? She looked at Su Yingxue, her eyes overflowing with envy. If one had medical skills like you, I wouldn't have to go back. If one had Miss Jinyan's courage to survive, one wouldn't have to return to the prince's mansion. However, one have a family to support. If I were to be divorced and return to my family, not only would it be a disgrace to my family, but it would also implicate my younger siblings. How could their future be ruined because of me? Sister, you can, Su Yingxue blurted out. Su Han didn't have to go back. However, her mind spun quickly, and she felt that if she said it rashly, it would be a little childish. As Su Han had said, she was different from her and Sister Jinyan. She could rely on her own hands to shut up everyone who was targeting her. Sister Jinyan did not have a family behind her, she did not have anyone to rely on, and she did not have anyone to drag her down. She only needed to work hard on her own. However, Su Han was different. She had a family mission and her identity was restricted. If she was divorced, she would be sad if she didn't care about her family. Su Yingxue did not want to interfere in her matters. I think that cousin must have thought everything through before she said that. Su Han managed the prince's mansion, and her vision and thoughts were much more profound than hers. But sister need not rush back. Grandfather will be back in 2 days. Sister is recuperating in the Marquis manor. When grandfather returns, you should accompany him more. I believe Chu Xiaotian and the regional prince's mansion will not be able to say anything about you. Su Yingxue patted Su Han's hand. Su Han was pleasantly surprised. Grandpa. That's great. Su Yingxue saw the gratified expression on her face and knew that her grandfather's backing could make her feel much more at ease. Even if she had to return to the regional prince's mansion to suffer in the future, at least she would not feel so lonely and helpless in her heart. Su Yingxue went out. She thought that Su Han would recuperate in the Marquis manor. However, as soon as she left, Qin Wan came over with Xifin. In front of Su Dingwei, Qin Wan didn't dare to cry or speak to Su Han sincerely. Now that it was only the mother and daughter, Qin Wan couldn't hold back her tears anymore. My poor daughter, this surgery saved your life, but it also ruined the rest of your life. Mother, please don't say that. Everything sister did was for my good. However, not everyone in the Su family can be as free and easy as her. Su Han smiled bitterly. Chapter 545. Old General Su was stalling for time. She was very grateful for Su Yingxue's good intentions, but she couldn't endure it. In the end, she had to use the rest of her life to make amends. Mother, the maid in the prince's mansion was probably driven away by Min Jia. Please give Jifin to me, so that I can have someone trustworthy by my side. Su Han, still recovering from her injuries, was already making plans for the future. Her current situation didn't allow her to rest peacefully. In the prince's mansion of Yangon County, when Chu Xiaotian brought Min Jia back, the household was in chaos. He had not slept the entire night. The old regional prince couldn't console Madame Xing, and after attempting to persuade Min Jia without success, he turned to Chu Xiaotian. Son, when will you bring the daughter-in-law back? She has always managed the affairs of the prince's mansion. Only she can maintain balance. Updated on B0xN0VL. The old regional prince was getting a headache. While Chu Xiaotian could handle stewardship after inheriting the title, managing the numerous women in the backyard was proving to be tiresome. His wife's tsundere temperament made things even more challenging. Chu Xiaotian, satisfied with Su Han from the first moment he saw her, had handed over the mansion's authority directly to her. Su Han had managed things efficiently for years, never disappointing. However, he hadn't expected his wife and daughter to misbehave so much. Chu Xiaotian's eyes were now dark circles. He wasn't concerned about the mansion's affairs but about Su Han, who had always been obedient, now defying him. She had defied him several times. He had never said he wouldn't treat her, yet she believed Su Yingxue and distrusted him, her husband who shared the same bed. He loved her so much. How could she treat him like this? Dad, I will bring her back. Tell Mom and sister that Su Han will come back and apologize to them. Chu Xiaotian's expression darkened. He knew Su Han couldn't escape him. Well, forget it. As long as she comes back, there's no need for an apology. The old regional prince understood that it wasn't Su Han's fault. It was his wife and daughter who were causing trouble. Su Han had already shown remarkable tolerance. Outside Jiangdu City, a massive army of tens of thousands marched forward in a disciplined formation. However, a lone rider left the army like a shooting star in the night sky. An elderly man, sitting on a robust horse, with white hair and beard, wrinkles visible in the dark, looked towards the city gate. Waving his hand, he ordered, "Set up camp here, enter the city tomorrow." Set up camp here, enter the city tomorrow. The order spread through the entire army by horseback scouts. Su Wei, the deputy general, asked from behind him, "General, the city gate is close. Although it's late, you could return directly to the Marquis manor." Despite Su Qingzi's age, his physique allowed him to ride back without any issues. Expressionless, Su Qingzhi instructed, "Set up camp." Su Wei refrained from further questions. After the tent was set up, Su Wei thought Su Qingzhi would rest early to prepare for entering the city the next day. However, Su Qingzhi called him in and said, "Enter the city later tomorrow. If you can delay, another day would be even better." Chapter 546. Chu Yihan couldn't hold it in anymore. Still delaying. Su Wei was somewhat surprised. The ninth prince asked the old general to come back a few months ago. During the half-month journey back to the court, the prince's secret guards sent daily reports, urging you to return early. Are you not wanting to accept Chu Yihan's kindness? Su Wei, with many years of military experience, had heard of Chu Yihan but had never seen him care about any general in the court as much as Su Qingzhi. Wouldn't it be inappropriate to reject Chu Yihan's kindness? However, Su Qingzhi just coldly snorted, offering unnecessary courtesy is either deceitful or thieving. But he's the ninth prince. What harmful intentions could the ninth prince have? Su Wei couldn't comprehend. Updated on B0xN0VL. Calm Su Qingzhi touched his sword, his eyes sharpened, said, "One know him better than you. This man is Heartless. In the past 6 months, he has made significant moves and sent secret guards daily to report his schedule. He must be hiding something." He didn't mind making the ninth prince anxious. In Jiangdu City, Yihan received a secret report that Su Qingzhi was already outside the city but had not entered immediately. Yihan frowned and said, "Mo Qi, prepare the horse. I will personally go outside the city to welcome the old general." "Your Highness, it's already past midnight. If we go at this time, the old general will be resting, right?" Mo Qi felt that his cold and restrained master couldn't hold it any longer. "They're already outside the city, but why don't they enter? Didn't the old general want to reunite with his family as soon as possible? Didn't the secret guards inform the old general that Su Dingwei and Qin Wan were also in the Marquis manor?" Yihan was puzzled. Mo Qi quickly defended the secret guards. "I've said it. How could they dare to neglect the master's orders? I think the old general must be tired after such a long journey. Seeing that they are already at the door, he's not in a hurry, so he wants to take a rest before coming in, right?" Yihan thought it made sense. He put down the news brought by the secret guard. "I've lost my sense of propriety. If he went out of the city now, he would inevitably startle Su Qingzhi and might leave a bad impression on him. This would not do." He wanted to maintain his image in Su Qingzi's heart as the perfect god of war of the great Qing dynasty. In the Marquis manor, Su Yingxue was also preparing late at night to welcome Su Qingzhi. Xilan looked at Su Yingxue, who was so busy that she was unwilling to rest. She teased, "Miss is always calm and steady in everything you do. Now that master is coming back, you're as anxious as a child." Su Yingxue was still holding an ornament in her hand. "You haven't seen grandfather for such a long time. Don't you miss him?" Su Yingxue thought desperately. After all, in the eyes of others, her grandfather had only been on the battlefield for a few years, but to her, she and her grandfather had already been separated for a lifetime. In her entire life, she had never seen her grandfather properly, leaned into his arms, and acted coquettishly. Xilan covered her mouth and laughed. "Yes, one miss master too. But I wonder, between Miss and the ninth prince, who longs for master more?" "Hiss, your words are getting worse and worse." Su Yingxue chased after Xilan angrily. Xilan was grabbed by Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue tickled her until she begged for mercy. "It's my fault, it's my fault. Miss, you miss master the most. Look at you, still talking nonsense." Su Yingxue was playing happily with her. Saint Juan came over with a dark face. "Su Yingxue, are all your patients this reckless?" Su Han had just finished the surgery and she was already out of bed. Forget about getting off the bed, she even ran away. Does she want to go to the heavens? Chapter 547, Su Han's Grievance. What? Cousin ran away. Su Yingxue's heart skipped a beat. She searched the Marquis manor but couldn't find Su Han. Su Dingwei and Qin Wan had already returned to the manor. Xilan asked the guard at Marquis manor and only then did she know, Miss Han just got on the carriage and left. Look. They are heading towards the prince's mansion of Yangon County. The regional prince's mansion, Su Yingxue frowned. Saint Juan scoffed in disdain. You've worked so hard to save people, but they still don't treat their lives as their own. What's the use? Updated on B0xN0VL. Calm, he clapped his hands and disregarded the Su family's affairs. He went to the medicine hut to continue fiddling with the things he and Su Yingxue were studying. At the prince's mansion in Yangon County, Su Han got out of the car and returned to her courtyard. Chu Xiaotian was still sleeping. He used to be busy with work, and when he returned home, he was exhausted. In addition, he was injured yesterday, and his hands and face were injured. Now, he looked even more exhausted. Chu Xiaotian pinched his eyebrows. He knew that Su Han would come back. Now that he saw her, his expression was cold as he grabbed her wrist. You finally decided to come back. Su Han stumbled as he pulled her wrist, her already unsteady steps making her as fragile as a sheet of paper. Yihan hurriedly assisted her, stabilizing her stance. Your Highness, please be gentle. Miss underwent surgery just yesterday, and the scar on her abdomen hasn't healed. She can't endure such force, Yihan anxiously advised. Miss? Can't endure. Chu Xiaotian's voice carried a mocking tone. She is my princess consort, a woman from the prince's mansion of Yangon County. What could she possibly not endure? He fixed a fierce gaze on Su Han. After several years of marriage, how could one not know about your fragile health? Other than your sister, Su Yingxue, no one in the world seems able to cure you, is that right? Su Han, weakened by illness, spoke in a hoarse voice, Your Highness, this matter is intricate. Heartner needs to explain it to you thoroughly. What do you mean? Are you still trying to frame my mother and sister for this? The entire prince's mansion of Yangon County has wronged you, and you're the only one who has been wronged, aren't you? Chu Xiaotian roared crazily, venting all the humiliation he had suffered last night on Su Han. Su Han held back her tears and listened to his scolding, even though his words were getting more and more harsh and forceful. Why are you silent? Aren't you usually eloquent? The entire mansion is well managed. How much distress did my mother cause you? You went to the Su family to complain, instigating your father to attack me, and even had your sister come to injure my mother and sister. He tightened his grip on Su Han's wrist, increasing the force as if wanting to crush her. Without my consent, you went to Su Yingxue for surgery. Who gave you the audacity? Su Han, speak. Who gave you the audacity? Your Highness, please don't treat Miss like this. Your Highness, please stop. Yihan attempted to intervene, but Chu Xiaotian forcefully pushed her away. Chu Xiaotian had been forcing Su Han. Seeing her crying, he felt a mix of pity and anger. How dare you cry? My mother and sister are seriously ill and bedridden, and the mansion is in chaos. All because of you. Su Han, how dare you cry? He angrily seized Su Han, who seemed like a doll in his grasp. From the beginning to the end, she did not dare to look up at him. Only when Chu Xiaotian forced her did Su Han look up with tears in her eyes. Her eyes were full of tears. She choked and said, Your Highness, all you do is blame Heartner without showing any concern. Don't you want to ask how difficult it was for me when one was sick, how painful the surgery was? Including now. My wounds. Chapter 548, Old General Su has arrived outside the city. Su Han untied her belt and lifted her top. Under her thin white undershirt, a hideous scar could be seen on her fair skin. Chu Xiaotian couldn't help but feel a pang of heartache. How could a wound so long and deep on such a delicate body not be painful? Yet, how could her pain compare to the humiliation he endured yesterday? Humph. As a woman, you dared to make decisions on your own, causing such injuries. According to the 7 rules, I could divorce you on the grounds of suffering from a serious illness. Put on your clothes properly to avoid dirtying my eyes. Chu Xiaotian turned away. If he didn't look, he wouldn't ache anymore. Updated on B0xN0VL. Calm, if your Highness doesn't look, this scar will remain. I'm afraid it won't disappear in the future. Su Han quivered as she let out a breath. Remain in the future. Su Han, are you trying to humiliate me? You've been a princess for too long, and you've forgotten your original identity. Xiaotian's expression turned ferocious, making Su Han feel like she was facing a stranger. She had never imagined that her loving husband would have such a demeanor after an incident. Su Han lowered her head and remained silent. Her silence was a form of unspoken resistance. In Xiaotian's eyes, this was stubbornness. She stubbornly believed she had done nothing wrong. However, in his eyes, Su Han was entirely in the wrong. Now that you're back, fulfill your duties as a princess properly. Xiaotian dragged Su Han out, denying her a chance to catch her breath. Before Su Han's return, she had anticipated that her days in the prince's mansion wouldn't be easy. Yet, she never expected Xiaotian to be this cruel. Outside Jiangdu City, the army had rested for a night. Su Wei entered the tent and reported to Su Qingzhi, "General, the 9th prince has sent someone to greet you. When will you enter the city?" Su Qingzhi raised his thick black eyebrows. What could it be that made him so anxious? Su Qingzhi found it increasingly challenging to understand Yihan. How is the situation in the Marquis Manor? Su Qingzhi temporarily set aside thoughts about Yihan. Not having returned for several years, he missed his children even more. Before returning, he received a letter from Su Hao, stating that he had been appointed as a general and stationed at Bamboo Leaf Pass. He was engaged to a woman named Wu Jinyan. Regarding the household, Su Yingxue had been taking care of it on his behalf. Su Hao's engagement wasn't surprising, but what surprised him was that the authority of the Marquis Manor had fallen into the hands of Su Yingxue. Yingxue, this child, has been quick-tempered since childhood. To see her manage the Marquis Manor so efficiently in such a short time is truly surprising. Su Qingzi's demeanor was stern, but when he spoke of Su Yingxue, his eyes showed love and pity. He regretted that Su Yingxue was a girl back then, unable to accompany him to battles like Su Hao. Instead, she could only be pampered at home. Yet, a child without a mother to accompany her would inevitably lag. He felt a sense of indebtedness. "General, I have gathered some information about the Marquis Manor. Would you like to hear it?" Su Wei looked conflicted. Su Qingzhi waved his hand. "Tell me." Approaching Su Qingzhi, Su Wei whispered into his ear. At the end of his statement, he expressed some regret. After all, Miss Euro is a descendant of the Marquis Manor. It's a pity she has passed away. A hint of sorrow crossed Su Qingzi's face, but it vanished in an instant as he regained his cold and solemn demeanor. The Su family's offspring have always been upright and straightforward. Devious and despicable individuals are not worthy of being part of the Su family. As for the despicable people raised by the Su family, death is not worth regretting. Chapter 549. Su Qingzi's caution defeated in the battle, there was no regret to speak of. Is General entering the city today? Su Wei asked a crucial question. Returning to the capital with over 10,000 troops was no trivial matter. If delayed, it might lead to criticism. You go into the palace alone, pay respects to the emperor, and see his attitude. Su Qingzhi held his waist knife, his eyes cautious. Sending Su Wei ahead, Su Qingzi's heart felt heavy. He feared that Yihan had other intentions and was more afraid of the potential conflict between him and the emperor. Thus, he hesitated to enter the city easily. Updated on B0xN0VL. Calm Su Yingxue, waiting in the mansion all day, didn't receive Su Qingzi's return. The messenger she sent from the Marquis Manor reported, "Miss, the old general, and the troops are outside the city but haven't entered." Why haven't they entered? Su Yingxue's beautiful face showed a trace of anxiety. I don't know, the messenger replied. Su Yingxue waved her hand, dismissing him. Maybe master has other arrangements. Miss, please be patient, Yihan softly advised. This servant is a bit worried about Miss Han. Since she returned to the regional prince's mansion, there has been no news all day. We don't know how her wound is. Su Yingxue was also worried. However, she understood the situation. Su Han chose to return to the regional prince's mansion, and no one forced her. She must have thought it through before going back. But it's a pity. Cousin's health is weak. If she doesn't get proper rest, it may be even harder for her to recover in the future. Su Yingxue had considered attacking the regional prince's mansion again, but it wouldn't be good for Su Han. Not everyone could make others fear them even after being beaten. So, she patiently waited for her grandfather's return. Su Qingzhi, receiving Chu Minjiwan's order, reorganized the army outside the city. He did not need to bring the troops back to the city, returning alone was sufficient. Chu Minjiwan's edict also mentioned a welcoming banquet and a nationwide celebration. However, Su Qingzhi declined, writing a letter to Chu Mingyuan and asking Su Wei to deliver it. No need for the welcoming banquet. I should return directly to the manor, Su Qingzhi sighed in relief. Su Wei chuckled, the emperor is not as considerate as the 9th prince. He knows you don't care about superficial courtesies. You only want to reunite with your family. Chu Yihan had been helping him handle miscellaneous matters since the border, allowing him to return home sooner. Su Qingzhi thanked him but remained cautious, the 9th prince is cold and heartless, unfathomable. Although I entrusted him with a task before the expedition, his recent actions are strange. I have to be careful. He would be as careful as possible. The next day, Su Qingzhi left a few deputies and returned to the city with Su Wei. Su Wei hadn't seen the bustling Jiangdu city for a long time, and he was very emotional. He saw that many people were coming and going on Vermilion Bird Street, and there was a long line. It was a clinic. He commented, General, look. There are many clinics in Jiangdu city. One haven't seen so many people queuing up for medical treatment in years. Su Qingzhi nodded. This sight reminded him of a past event. In the past, he supported Long Shuli to establish a clinic. Once opened, the clinic drew long queues of patients seeking Long Shuli's treatment. At that time, Long Shuli didn't even have time to go home for meals. Chapter 550, Amazing, my granddaughter indeed, it got busy. As he walked past the entrance of the clinic and saw the vigorous inscription, Tongchang Medical Center, on the plaque, he suddenly pulled the reins and stopped. This clinic. Isn't it Long Shuli's? General, aren't you going back to the manor? Su Wei still held a horse, puzzled by Su Qingzi's sudden stop. Recalling Long Shuli, Su Qingzhi felt a twinge and decided to dismount and take a look. Update on B Omicron X0 VL. C Omicron M. Both Su Qingzhi and Su Wei, clad in armor, exuded a remarkable presence. Especially Su Qingzhi, with his white hair and beard, yet vigorous and towering like a mountain, his eyes sharp as swords and lightning. The clinic's patients kept their distance upon seeing him as if a single glance could freeze their breath. Manager Qi, alerted by the report of 2 armored visitors, promptly came out to welcome them. Seeing Su Qingzhi, he couldn't help but show deep respect. Generals, are you here for medical treatment? Which doctor would you like to consult? Su Wei intended to explain that they were just here to look around, not seek medical attention. However, when Su Qingzhi noticed a doctor's sign hanging outside a treatment room, bearing Su Yingxue's name, he inquired, pointing towards the room, which doctor is in there? Oh, that's our shop owner, Dr. Su's treatment room. However, today being the 15th, Dr. Su is offering free treatment only to women. I'm afraid you won't be able to see Dr. Su today, General. If needed, other doctors are available. Manager Qi elaborated, providing Su Qingzhi with detailed information. Softened by the realization that Su Yingxue was like her mother, Su Qingzhi mused, as expected, just like her mother. Pity for women across the world. I don't seek treatment but wish to see Dr. Su. Su Qingzhi pointed to Su Yingxue's treatment room. Finding the request peculiar, Manager Qi cautiously inquired, General, what is your relationship with Dr. Su? Why specifically see Dr. Su alone? Su Qingzhi chuckled, my surname is also Su. Surname Su, Manager Qi recalled something, suddenly understanding. Could it be Old General Su? Su Yingxue's grandfather. Remembering Su Yingxue mentioning that her grandfather, Old General Su, was on his way back to the capital, Su Qingzhi gestured for discretion. He didn't want to disturb Su Yingxue, just wanting to catch a glimpse of her. Manager Qi, respectful and careful, promptly led Su Qingzhi to a partitioned space in Su Yingxue's treatment room, offering tea and snacks. Old General, please wait. This is Miss Treatment Room next door. After she finishes with this patient, I'll invite her to meet you. Miss misses you greatly. Unexpectedly, you came to the clinic first. Su Qingzhi hadn't anticipated that, after years of absence from Jiangdu City, he would visit Su Yingxue's clinic first. As Su Yingxue sat at the table, her silhouette reflected on the window frame, displaying her upright and calm demeanor. Occasionally, her cold voice reached through the window cracks. If you conceal your illness, it will affect my prescription. If the medication goes awry, delaying treatment, don't blame the doctor for being irresponsible. Alright, Dr. Su, I did indeed have that. Okay, understood. Go get the medicine. After completing a prescription, Su Yingxue couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. She had learned from Ziwei how to discern someone's location by sound. She found it to be somewhat effective. However, when she attempted to listen, there was complete silence. Soon, the next patient arrived, and she focused on attending to them. Separated by a wall, Su Qingzhi and Su Wei stood at a distance. Chapter 551, Grandpa came back. She cried. Su Wei held his breath for a long moment, while Su Qingzhi moved to another room and sat down. Only then did he dare to exhale. Eldest young Miss skills have truly grown. Her medical expertise is so exquisite, and we nearly got caught by her. Su Qingzhi felt a surge of pride. Why don't you see whose granddaughter she is? Su Wei smiled. General, you've been concerned about Miss at the border these past years. Now, you can rest assured, right? Miss can manage such a large clinic, and she can even identify locations by sound. Her martial skills must have improved greatly. She's not someone to be trifled with. Su Qingzi's face, wrinkled with age, raised his eyebrows. When have one ever been worried? Su Wei was speechless. Update on B Omicron X0 VL. C Omicron M, General, you're quite a bit of a show-off. Su Wei thought. After Su Yingxue finished attending to the last patient, it was already late. She instructed Manager Qi to have someone watch over the female patient for the night. Concerned for her safety returning home so late, she even arranged for her carriage to take the patient home. Manager Qi sighed softly. Miss always thinks of the patients. It's late, and you should return to the Marquis Manor. I'm not afraid. Manager Qi, you should rest too. Su Yingxue stretched lazily and suddenly felt a powerful aura approaching. Su Qingzi's aged voice sounded particularly resolute. Indeed, you are my granddaughter. Just a night road like this, there's nothing to fear. Su Yingxue was stunned. Her blood momentarily chilled, then immediately boiled like flames. Her lips quivered. Grandpa. Su Qingzhi, clad in armor, looked strikingly heroic despite his age. His steps remained as steady as ever. Su Yingxue rushed into his embrace, and he caught her firmly, patting her back. Despite his stern demeanor, his eyes softened with affection. There, be good. His large hand gently patted Su Yingxue's back. He was delighted to see her longing for him. But then he heard sobbing from his embrace. Grandfather, you're finally back. My grandfather. Su Yingxue couldn't hold back her tears. Emotions surged within her, releasing the pent-up grievances and hatred she had harbored for so long. Grandfather, I'm sorry. I was foolish. It's all my fault. It's all because of me, Su Yingxue cried out emotionally. In her past life, her grandfather had been killed because of her. Even in his final moments, her grandfather had been worried about her. She had wasted over a decade of her grandfather's love. What's wrong? You've already surprised me. Su Qingzhi cradled Su Yingxue's face. She cried like a kitten, a hint of her mischievous childhood evident. But from what he had observed during the day, she was composed and skilled in medicine, vastly different from before he left. I still remember when you were this tall, wearing a pink dress, pouting unhappily, saying if one didn't take you, you wouldn't want me anymore. Su Qingzhi reminisced, his deep eyes tinged with red. Su Yingxue looked at Su Qingzhi's palm, barely reaching her shoulder. She squatted, using her head to support his hand, then stood tall and proclaimed, now I'm this tall. Yes, you've grown so fast. And so beautiful. Su Qingzhi sighed deeply. You're just like your mother, both devastatingly beautiful. Chapter 552, Tame a Wild Horse. Old General was previously worried about Miss' marriage. Now that Miss is so outstanding, I'm sure all the nobles in Jiangdu City would be fighting to be your husband. Su Wei chuckled behind Su Qingzhi. Su Qingzi's face darkened, his voice stern. Nonsense. Do they think they can marry my granddaughter just because they want to? He couldn't bear to see Su Yingxue married off. Let her stay for 2 more years. Grandfather, one can't bear to get married. I want to always be with you. Update on B Omicron X0 VL. C Omicron M. Su Yingxue held onto Su Qingzi's arm passionately. To her, this was a reunion with her grandfather who had been brought back from the dead. She had been in a trance for a lifetime before finally obtaining this happiness, so she cherished it dearly. Su Qingzhi led her out. There weren't many people on the streets. He and Su Wei each had a mount. Su Wei even led a horse. Miss, this is a wild horse that the old general tamed on the road. It has a strong temperament, but it's very vigorous and can travel thousands of miles. The old general originally planned to give it to you, but it hasn't been trained yet. You can ride my horse first. One will lead it back to the Marquis manor. Su Yingxue approached the black horse and examined it closely. Its limbs were exceptionally sturdy, its coat pure black and shiny, with only a white patch on its head. Under the moonlight, it stood out. Is she Black Narcissus? Su Yingxue's eyes lit up. In her previous life, her grandfather had brought back such a horse and wanted to give it to her, but she had fallen off it once and refused to take it. Su Qingzhi said it was a rare horse and asked Su Yingxue to try taming it again. However, Su Yingxue was impatient and couldn't stand her sibling scheming. Such a fine horse was taken by Su Jinxian. Taking the reins from Su Wei, Su Yingxue smiled at Su Qingzhi. Thank you, grandfather. Su Yingxue pondered how to tame the horse, but when she turned around, she noticed Su Qingzhi looking at her strangely. You. How did you know to call her Black Narcissus? This was the name he had thought of for the horse after taming it. It wasn't strange that Su Wei knew, but it was Su Yingxue's first time seeing the horse today. How would she know? Su Wei was also puzzled. Miss, why did you call her Black Narcissus? Their thoughts were too coincidental, weren't they? Well. The moon is bright tonight. She's dark but with a white patch on her head. It reminded me of daffodils. Su Yingxue chuckled. To avoid being seen through by her grandfather, she held the reins and mounted the horse. Black Narcissus was a horse with a strong temper and intelligence. Su Yingxue remembered from her past life that Su Jinxian had struggled to tame this horse. Due to her ability to discern a person's capabilities, if she sensed that a person wasn't capable enough or had malicious intentions, she wouldn't submit. Even if she submitted temporarily, she would eventually throw the rider off. In her past life, Black Narcissus had briefly been Su Jingxuan's mount. However, during a battle, she threw Su Jinxian off and was killed on the spot. Once Su Yingxue mounted the horse, Black Narcissus neighed and raised its front hooves, seemingly displeased with her. It galloped swiftly, attempting to throw Su Yingxue off. Su Wei was terrified. Miss, this horse hasn't been trained yet. It's dangerous. Su Qingzhi stood still, his expression calm. It's unnecessary. Yingxue will surely tame Black Narcissus. Su Qingzhi's gaze was deep as he watched Su Yingxue train the horse under the moonlight. Without any protective gear on its back and only the reins in her hands, Su Yingxue was nearly thrown off several times. But gradually, Black Narcissus calmed down. Though panting heavily, she no longer attempted to throw Su Yingxue off. Chapter 553, Virtue is not worthy of position, and will not be tolerated. Su Yingxue held onto the reins and rode back to Su Qingzhi's side. A smug smile adorned her picturesque face. Grandfather, I've tamed it. Let's go home. Good. Su Qingzhi smiled heroically. As expected of Shuli's daughter, as expected of the descendant of the Su family. It made him proud. Su Qingzhi and Su Yingxue returned to the manor in the starry night. Most of the people in the Marquis manor had already rested. Su Qingzhi did not care about his appearance and did not need any grandeur. After entering the manor to change, he asked Su Yingxue to accompany him to the ancestral hall. Update on B-Omicron X0 VL. See Omicron M in the ancestral hall. Su Qingzhi looked at the incense that continued to burn. He instructed Su Yingxue, go and burn an incense stick for your mother on behalf of grandfather. Yes, grandfather. Su Yingxue lit the incense and knelt on the ground. She kowtowed 3 times and lit the incense for her mother. Although she had never met her mother, she had heard that her grandfather liked her mother very much and had always doted on her like his own daughter. Su Hao had told her that when her mother passed away, her grandfather was so sad that he fell ill for a long time. Su Qingzhi looked at Long Shuli's memorial tablet with a complicated expression. He didn't know who he was talking to, or perhaps he was murmuring to himself, "My child, have you gone back yet? How have you been over there all these years? Did her father love her? Was life going well? Grandfather, what are you talking about?" Su Yingxue took the cloak from Xilan's hands and draped it over Su Qingzhi. Su Qingzhi retracted the longing and regret in his eyes and walked out of the ancestral hall with Su Yingxue's help. The two of them had a good chat, and Su Qingzhi roughly understood what kind of changes Su Yingxue had experienced in the past half a year. Su Qingzhi stopped for a moment when he passed by Sunset Court. Su Yingxue pursed her lips. "Grandfather, will you blame me?" She had avenged herself by killing Lu Shulan and leaving Su Yura's corpse incomplete. She had no regrets, but her grandfather would probably take into account that she was still a descendant of the Marquis manor, right? You did the right thing. In just an instant, Qingzhi threw away the heartache in his eyes and replaced it with a cold and stern expression. If the children of my Marquis manor behave like this, they are not worthy of being the descendants of my Marquis manor. Their deaths are not worth regretting. He valued character and ability above everything else. Even if they were his grandchildren, if they were not worthy, he would not tolerate them. Even if she wasn't a descendant of the Marquis manor, but someone like Long Shuli, who had noble morals and outstanding abilities, he would still treat her like his own daughter. He would give her the best of the Marquis manor and everything he had for her son and daughter. Yingxue supported Qingzhi and continued walking forward. In Sunset Court, a pair of malicious eyes were filled with hatred. Old thing, 111 kill your Yingxue sooner or later. To avenge his sister and mother. Saying that they were not worthy, he would personally overturn this Marquis of Marshall South's manor and destroy everything they protected and cared about. Yingxue felt that she had endless things to say to Qingzhi. When she brought him to the medicine hut, she told him that she was going to perform the surgery for Han. How is Heiner's body now? Even though Dingheng had inherited the title a few years ago and the branch manor had become independent, he still missed his grandchildren. Yingxue's eyes turned solemn. I haven't heard from cousin these few days. I've already taught the people of the prince's mansion of Yangon County a lesson. Now, it's not good for me to go to visit them again. Otherwise, cousin's life will be even worse. She wasn't the daughter-in-law of the prince's mansion of Yangon County, so she couldn't understand Han's suffering. Chapter 554, Are you close to your Highness? Let's pick a day and have Heiner come back to see me. My granddaughter shouldn't be underestimated. Qingzhi stroked his beard in anger. Their Su family may not be from an imperial family, but as the Defender Great General and the Marquis of Marshall South's manor, they were not to be trifled with. Yingxue had a brilliant idea. How about we organize a welcome banquet for grandfather? By then, sister can come to see grandfather in a dignified manner. Qingzhi looked concerned. The emperor wanted to host a welcome banquet for me before, but I declined. If we hold a grand event now, it might upset the emperor. Considering what Yingxue had told him about her clashes with Chengye, he worried that it could become a weapon against the Su family. Don't worry, grandfather. I'll only arrange a family banquet. Well, say it's because you miss your family and want to reunite. This way, my sister can come too. And for the sake of face, the regional prince must accompany her. Then, grandfather can give him a good talking to. Yingxue blinked, exuding a clever and adorable charm. Organizing a family banquet would disguise their intentions, pacify Chu Mingyuan, avoid excessive attention from the court, and provide an opportunity for Han to return with Chu Xiaotian, allowing grandfather to support her. Qingzhi laughed heartily. You're becoming more and more like your mother, brave and strategic. It was the bloodline of their Su family. Yingxue was extremely proud of herself, but she did not expect that Qingzi's next question would make her not know how to answer. You've been getting close to the 9th prince lately. What's the reason? Qingzhi was able to accept the other changes in Yingxue within a short period. Update on B Omicron X0 VL. C Omicron M. After all, she was Long Shuli's daughter. However, Yihan had forced him to raise his spirits. The 9th prince, Yingxue hesitated, considering whether to disclose her relationship with Yihan. However, sensing her grandfather's cautious gaze, she quickly covered up and said, "Wasn't it at your request, grandfather, that the 9th prince took care of your granddaughter? He's been taking good care of me. While I did make such a request, he didn't agree at the time. His current attentiveness to you is quite unexpected, Su Qingzhi said, stroking his beard. Besides, I was worried that he would outright refuse, as taking care of a young girl like you would be inconvenient. That's why I specifically mentioned taking care of the Marquis manor. Su Yingxue was startled. So, grandfather, you meant the Marquis manor. Yihan had openly stated during his first visit that her grandfather wanted him to take care of her. This revelation shocked her. He had ulterior motives. He's so cunning and scheming. He had his eyes on me so early, Su Yingxue thought. How strange. Didn't the ninth prince say so? Su Qingzhi was puzzled. No. The ninth prince didn't say anything. He had been silently plotting against her, luring her into his trap step by step. The ninth prince is inscrutable. You're just a 3-year-old, yet he's already experienced in battle. His noble status, remarkable achievements, and the burdens he carries are beyond ordinary comprehension. Now that I've returned, there's no need for you to trouble him further after I thank him, Su Qingzhi reassured, patting Su Yingxue's hand. Grandfather, do you not like the ninth prince? But didn't you ask him to take care of me because you saw his strength? Su Yingxue bit her lip, growing concerned. Chapter 555, Yihan's determination. It's not a matter of whether one like him or not. In terms of ability alone, he is the only person in my life that I admire. However, the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility and risk. He wields too much power, and as long as he's around, the emperor's throne is never secure. Ultimately, he's a dangerous man. Our Su family should steer clear of the turmoil of the imperial family. It's especially wise for you, as a girl. Su Qingzi's tone was laden with concern and seriousness. But with all that had happened between Su Yingxue and Yihan recently, she couldn't possibly explain it to her grandfather in such a short time. And her grandfather probably wouldn't understand her relationship with Yihan so quickly anyway. So she decided to keep it hidden for now and find an opportunity to tell her grandfather after the family banquet. I understand, grandfather. Don't worry, she said, pressing her lips together. Only after confirming that Su Qingzhi had fallen asleep did Su Yingxue return to her room. She had been preoccupied with Su Qingzi's words, so she was a bit distracted and didn't even notice Yihan sitting there. She walked towards the soft couch with her head down. When she was almost in front of Yihan, he suddenly pulled her into his arms. Your Highness, why are you here? Su Yingxue exclaimed in surprise. Yihan's handsome brows furrowed. When he was displeased, the room felt as cold as ice. Forget about me now that you have your grandfather. I haven't visited for a few days, and this is how you greet me. Yihan's voice was icy. But Su Yingxue didn't have time to worry about his mood. She quickly jumped out of his embrace and went to check the door. After confirming that her grandfather was asleep, she sighed in relief. What if your grandfather finds me here? Yihan raised an eyebrow. Update on B Omicron X0 VL. C Omicron M, it would be serious. Su Yingxue didn't dare to mention that her grandfather had forbidden her from interacting with Yihan. But Yihan had waited for her until late at night. Seeing him like this, she couldn't bear it. She hugged him and rubbed her face against his chest. Grandfather and your Highness haven't seen each other for a long time. If he knew you were in my room, he would blame me. Blame you? Yihan's eyes turned dark. I should have gone to propose to old General Su on the day he was outside the city. Su Yingxue was speechless. Please don't, she thought. She didn't dare to tell Yihan about her grandfather's warning to stay away from him. Yihan had put in a lot of effort to bring her grandfather back earlier. Now that he knew, he wouldn't feel good about it. She could only pretend to be shy and playfully punched Yihan's chest. I hate you. Your Highness is so eager to propose, do you have some ulterior motive for me? She rarely acted coquettishly, but her tender voice made Yihan's heart skip a beat, and his breathing quickened. Yihan's body was filled with a desire to press her down on the bed and punish her ruthlessly. However, he could not bear to see her watery eyes. She was delicate after all. Yihan coughed heavily and regained his composure. What do one want from you? Your heart belongs to me, and soon, you will too. Really? Yingxue pouted. Yihan's calm demeanor impressed her. As expected of the most powerful imperial uncle in the entire Great Qing dynasty, Yihan gently pushed Yingxue away and headed back to the prince's mansion. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.